No crazy war. No a la guerra loca.
Nicolás Maduro, Venezuela's leader, has appealed to the United States to de-escalate threats that currently endanger his authority. This comes as approximately 60 people have died, with some survivors, in at least 13 attacks on vessels purportedly used by drug traffickers on Caribbean and Pacific routes. The Trump administration aims to dismantle drug trafficking operations led by organizations classified as narco-terrorist groups, akin to groups like Al-Qaeda.
And a lot of the Venezuelan drugs come in through the sea, so you get to see that. But we're going to stop them by land also.
But behind a strategy that for many is the only way to prevent more drug-related deaths in the United States and restore freedom to nations like Venezuela, there is also concern about the lack of transparency behind each military attack. Welcome to Washington. This is Politics con Acento. Este es nuestro tercer episodio, and we take you to the center of a growing tension between Washington and Latin America. Republican Senator Rick Scott and former governor of Florida join us to talk about what's behind these operations and what they mean for the U.S. influence in the hemisphere. Soy Stephen Ochoa, and this is Politics con Acento. Senator, thank you so much for your time. I know that it's been very busy. We don't know when it's gonna end this shutdown, and probably when these interviews air next Thursday, probably we will still be facing the consequences of this.
Sure looks like it. You know what's fascinating is the Democrats won't vote to keep the government funded at a level that they voted for last year. This is the Biden budget. This is not the Republican budget. This is the Biden budget. I don't like this budget, but I don't want government shut down. And what they're doing now is poor people are not going to get food stamps, but they want to give subsidies to people making over $125,000 a year. It could be worth over $1 million. That doesn't make sense.
What do you think is going to happen when people cannot bring food to their table because they don't have SNAP?
Well, you know, I grew up in a poor family where my mom struggled to put food on the table. It's hard. I mean, everybody thinks it's hard for the kid. It's hard for the parents. It's hard for everybody in the family. When I was governor, I was not responsible for food stamps, but you got extra food stamps after a hurricane. I mean, people were mad if they didn't get theirs. And so we had to provide a lot of security. So I don't know.
Who's going to lose more in this fight?
Well, poor families, that's who loses. I mean, we still get paid. I have a bill that says that, you know, we shouldn't get paid if we don't pass a budget, right? But I can't get the Democrats to support it. And it's no budget, no pay. I mean, do you get paid? You don't get paid if you don't show up and work, right? Why should we're not doing our job. We should be passing budgets. It's not that hard to pass a budget.
What do the people tell you when you go to Florida, your colleagues, people who work with you? What's the feeling?
They're frustrated. What they see is their government stopped working. This is not the way it's supposed to work. I pass a budget every year as governor. We balance a budget every year as governor. We added, 1.7 million jobs when I was governor. We increased the funding for education, for the environment, for transportation, things that people care about, law enforcement. Up here, it's all, we're not solving problems. So I'm going to keep working hard. I'm optimistic that it'll get better.
There are many fronts open right now, and being from Mexico and from Latin America, one of the things that everybody's talking about is what's going on in the Caribbean and the Pacific now. And those strikes on the vessels that the U.S. have been carrying out in the last couple of weeks and actually the last month have been just gaining momentum because we don't know what's actually the plan from the White House. This morning, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth announced another strike against 3 vessels, 15 people on board. From them, 1 survived, and Mexico is taking care of that person. But what's your view, or how do you read this strategy from the administration?
Well, I think the Trump administration is clear. We don't want drugs in our country. And, Maduro is the head of drug cartels. He's not the president of Venezuela. Edmundo Gonzalez is the duly elected president. Maduro stole the election. Maria Corina-Machado proved it. So here's a guy, Maduro's head of drug cartels, and Trump says enough's enough. Maduro, as you know, has been indicted. He's been indicted for selling drugs in this country, and Trump's going to stop it. He's going to, if you're going to bring drugs to our country with these boats, you're going to die. Your days are numbered. I think Maduro's days are numbered. He's not going to be in power much longer. One, Trump has increased the money if is set in prison to 50 million. I've got a bill to take it to 100 million. I think that's going to happen. So I think Maduro's going to leave. I think he should leave if he wants to save his life. Otherwise, he's going to end up like Noriega. He's going to end up in prison the rest of his life in the United States.
But do you think Maduro will leave Venezuela in a pacific way? Because he hasn't done that in many, many years. Like, what can make him do that?
I think realizing that his days are numbered. He doesn't want to end up in prison. He should look at what happened to Noriega. Noriega ended up in prison the rest of his life. And that's what's going to happen to Maduro. And so he ought to go to Russia or go to Communist China. He should get out as quickly as he can. His days are numbered.
Some analysts say that if the U.S. want to take Maduro out of Venezuela or overturn his regime, they can do that in a matter of hours. Why is that we just don't go and do that instead of this?
I think they're giving him the opportunity to leave, and I think he's going to leave. I think he'll leave.
When President Donald Trump said that he has offered everything, what do you think he refers to?
Well, I think he's giving Maduro the opportunity to get out, and to date Maduro hasn't decided to do it, but it's going to happen.
What's the message that we in the region get, like Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua?
I think the days of dictators is over. I think Maduro's going to be in Russia or China or in prison. Then when that happens, Diaz-Canel falls. We're going to see freedom and liberty in Cuba. So it's going to be a golden opportunity and a golden era for Latin America. We're going to see a lot more freedom opportunity for people. People want to go back and rebuild their countries. It's going to be nice.
But how will it change the policy in the region? Because Mexico this morning, President Claudia Sheinbaum said she didn't agree with the way the U.S. was attacking the vessels. Colombia hasn't really shown, like being opposite to the regime of Maduro. So what's that message for those countries who are not happy with this?
I think the message of those countries is we believe the people of Venezuela and Cuba and Nicaragua, Colombia, Brazil need to have the opportunity for freedom, need to have the opportunity to build their lives, need the opportunity for their kids to get medicine, the opportunity to go to school, the opportunity to live in safe neighborhoods. We believe in that, and we're going to help them do it.
There are many chances that if Maduro decides to leave the country by himself, he can hide in another country. If he does that, what chances does the U.S. have for taking him?
Well, he won't be able to travel. He won't be able to travel, and I wouldn't want to live in Communist China. I wouldn't want to live in Russia, but at least he won't be in prison. So I think he'll have to do what Assad did in Syria. He'll have to go to Russia. I'm sure he'll steal some money on the way. Probably have some money there already, but it's going to be a lonely life.
In terms of narco trafficking and trying to stop the drugs coming into the U.S., what do you think the U.S. has to do to stop it? Because those are transnational organizations, those are big corporations, and we know that the biggest in the region are based in Mexico. The headquarters are there. Why, or what do you think the U.S. should do in terms of like really go to get the big ones?
So number one, we've taken their money away by shutting the border down. So now they can't make all the money that they've been making by shutting the border down. It's way harder to get the drugs in the country. So they're going to start struggling fiscally. And then when the United States have the opportunity and you're selling drugs to our kids, you're going to die.
What do you say to all those people who are still questioning how the U.S. is attacking those vessels when they say there's no proof that the citizens have seen about them being actually tourists, or those vessels are carrying packs of narcotics?
Well, our military has been clear. They track this. We track it. We've been tracking this for a long time. We know what these vessels are doing. So, and by the way, don't be stupid. These are paths of drug, of drug cartels, and so you just see, and as more of them do it, the more they're going to die. Eventually, people are going to stop wanting to be a part of that because they want to stay alive and be with their families.
So what you can say is we need to trust in the U.S. intelligence.
Absolutely. I trust the U.S. intelligence.
At the beginning of the administration, President Trump and his allies, they reached out to Venezuelan government because they had this swap, right, with prisoners, U.S. prisoners in Venezuela. Nothing came from it.
Well, Maduro had his opportunity to leave, his opportunity to recognize the real leader. Ivano Gonzalez is the president, and he failed. He made a mistake. I wouldn't fight with President Trump. I wouldn't fight with the U.S. military. President Trump is committed to this. He's committed to freedom and liberty in Latin America, and it's going to happen.
I think one of the biggest roles in this strategy is under Secretary Rubio. Yep. He has, I don't know if the right word is to say resentment against regimes because he's coming from Cuba, his family. He has lived this situation. Do you think he's one of the big heads or the authors of this strategy?
Absolutely. I think Marco Rubio has done a great job. He was a senator from Florida, just like me. If you live in Florida, you know the importance of liberty and freedom. I mean, Miami is the capital of liberty and freedom for Latin America. And so there's so many people that, that are here from those countries, and they're here because they don't have opportunity. And they would love to go back and rebuild their countries. They love their countries. And so if you're from Florida, you see this all the time.
My last question, Senator, what would you say about making equivalent Al-Qaeda to narco traffickers in Latin America? That's one of the relations that Big Hexet has made.
Right. Well, I think what we have to realize is that the Venezuelan regime has helped Hezbollah and Al-Qaeda and all sorts of bad people hurt our country. He's sent criminals. Maduro has sent his criminals, emptied his prison, sent them here, and all that is stopping. This is all going to stop. President Trump cares about this country. This country is going to be a safer place to live. It's going to be a better place for opportunity.
Any chance that the U.S. go into land inside Venezuela? Do you think that will happen?
I don't think they're going to have to. But I wouldn't rule that out. So, so if that's Maduro is going to leave. One way or the other.
Do you think that will take months, weeks?
I don't know how long it's going to take. But if you look at what Trump's done in 10 months, he's made a lot of changes in the world in what he's been in office, a little over 9 months. So he's going to recreate Latin America for freedom and liberty.
Perfect, Senator. I really appreciate your time.
Nice
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. As Washington defends its operations in the Caribbean as part of the fight against drug trafficking, the question now is, how far will the United States go? Could we see an on-the-ground incursion into Venezuelan territory in the coming weeks, or is this simply diplomatic pressure? What happens next could redefine America's relationship with the entire region. And next week, we'll be joined by Mercedes Schlapp, former senior advisor to President Trump, to discuss the future of the MAGA movement and the growing divisions inside the Republican Party.